Sync. Okay, so really my final hurdle before I stopped eating animals was me thinking, oh well, if I go vegetarian, it's not going to make a difference, it's just me, animals are still going to die. But that's not really a stance that I would hold for any other position. I'm one of those people who always encourages people to vote, especially young people, because we are so underrepresented. And it's very similar to veganism. If anything, veganism counts more than your political vote. The market works through something called supply and demand. Every time you buy something, the shop will make note of what they need more stock of, and so they will order more of that from their supplier. If the supplier gets asked more frequently to produce a product, they'll produce more and more of it. So the more cheese you buy, the more cheese is produced, the more calves are taken away from their mothers, the more cows are forcefully impregnated, the more male calves are sent to slaughter, and the more cows are killed after 4 to 6 years after their milk production drops off. You add to the demand for a product, and so the more products are produced by the supplier, hence supply and demand. I've heard varying statistics, but the average vegan reduces the demand for animal products by an amount that is equivalent to 1 animal life a day or 200 animal lives a year. So it's either 1 life every 24 hours or 1 life about every 36 hours. Either way, it's a pretty significant number. And I've also heard that the average animal eater eats about 7,000 animals throughout their lifetime. There's even a link that I'll put in the description that helps you figure out how many animals and how many resources you saved just from being vegan. The animal agricultural industries are afraid of us, and that's because we're a growing movement. Recently, the dairy industry collectively paid about £1.2 million in advertising against veganism. Recently, the Advertising Standards Agency defended an advert by Go Vegan World calling dairy inhumane. If you're curious as to why dairy is inhumane, click the link up here and it'll tell you why it's inhumane in the second half of the video. And in the US, there's the Dairy Pride Act, which stops plant milk companies advertising their products as, say, soy milk or almond milk. They have to say milk alternative. And that's because the dairy industry is so afraid of losing profits to the plant milk industry because the general population is actually waking up. Sometimes it might feel like it's just you going vegan, but I promise there are new vegans all the time. The Telegraph reports that as of May 2016, in the 10 previous years, veganism had grown by 360%, and I'm part of that statistic, and so is every single vegan I know. I've only met one vegan who is not part of that statistic. And this has nothing on the US. Veganism has grown over 500% just since 2014. Well done America. You've done a lot of stuff recently that's pretty embarrassing for everybody involved, but this isn't one of them. Well done. Imagine if every year, every vegan converted 1 or maybe 2 people, and then they did the same, and then those vegans did the same. We really do have the potential to grow so quickly. Veganism is even predicted to be the mega trend of 2018. Now, I don't really like the word trend normally because it implies that it's temporary, but I really don't think this is going to be the case with veganism. Once you realise that everybody around you is eating corpses and breast milk and hen period, it really puts you off going back, and it's becoming easier and easier to be vegan. It's currently the hardest that it will ever be to be vegan, but also the easiest it has ever been. In 2016, Grocer reported that the profit of the dairy industry had dropped by about £240 million in the UK. And the BBC reports that about 1 in 10 dairy farms in England and Wales has closed since 2013. Now, the reason that I'm happy about these numbers isn't because I want to see anybody plunged into poverty. I don't wish that upon anyone. But it implies that it's a growth in veganism as opposed to just a growth in vegetarianism. And whilst it's sad that people are losing their jobs, the consumers are likely buying plant milks, and so there is growth in another market there. But also, jobs isn't a good justification for a practice if that practice hurts somebody else. You should never put profit above life. A good example of that is the slave trade. A lot of people lost their jobs, a lot of slave traders lost their jobs upon the abolishment of the transatlantic slave trade, but I think it'd be pretty crazy to say that it wasn't a good thing that happened because people lost their jobs. Every single person's buying habits matter. Meatless Mondays are alright for Monday, but more times than not, you're still paying for somebody who's done nothing wrong to you to be exploited and to be killed. So your refusal to take part in that absolutely matters, especially if you are able to convince other people to do the same. Say, I've not been a vegan activist for all that long, maybe 4 months, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter. So say in that amount of time I've converted maybe 3 people, or like put them on the right path to that end goal. For all I know, one of those people might end up becoming the Martin Luther King of veganism. If not them, then whoever they influence, and then whoever they influence, they might become the next big figure. They might be the one to change the world. There are lots of awful things happening in the world right now, but this is one thing that you can choose to stop participating in, and only you have the power to do that. I think I'll leave that there. If you agreed with me, if you disagreed with me, if I made you see something in a new light, let me know in the comment section down below the video. And if you're more subtle than that, you can leave me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And this has been a Coli video, and I'll talk to you next time.